Hi guys, can everybody hear me? Just want to make sure everyone can jump on before we start. Happy Tuesday. Hello. Guys, just waiting real quick, letting everybody jump on. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Great. Just gonna wait a little bit longer. Beth, you're so welcome. We're happy to do these. We're just a couple minutes away, and then we will start. Thank you for the like, whoever just did that. Before we start, that's really kind. Okay, guys, gonna start in just a minute here, and then we'll go ahead. Okay, guys, it is noon, so I guess we'll go ahead and start, and we'll get this rolling. Okay, good to see everyone, and a few more people will join in the middle. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys, hi. My name is Annalise Saucier. I'm a graphic designer here at Stuller. I've been doing graphic design for about 10 years. Um, my life in a nutshell, I grew up in Bunkie, Louisiana, if anyone knows where that is. I've lived all over the world. I'm the eldest of 6 children, and I'm engaged to a wonderful person. So today I'd like to talk to you about some basic graphic and visual guidelines that'll help you to keep your social media posts professional, consistent, and beautiful. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments as we go along, and we'll answer them kind of during and after the presentation, okay? So first thing we're going to talk about is framing your image. If you haven't done so already, go back and watch Danny Maldonado's Facebook Live on photography. He's got some great tips on how to push your photos to the next level when taking them. So what you want to do is start with a photo that's already pretty solid. So what do I mean by that? We want a photo that's taken with a clean lens. It's got good lighting, it's focused correctly, and it's got a good background, all those aspects. So we want to take that photo and think about subject focus. Where do you want to lead the customer's eye? What features of this photo are you going to use to draw the customer in? So is it the mill grain edge detail on the wedding band or the depth of the diamond center? It's all about choosing your subject and positioning it in an interesting way. So some of you might have heard of the rule of thirds. It's the basic principle of an image grid. That's all it is. Imagine breaking an image down into thirds, both horizontally and vertically, so that you have 9 parts. This can help you to identify 4 important points of the image, or it can give you some line guides for elements on your image. You can align elements to the points, to the lines, or even align elements between 2 lines like we're doing here with this image. It really depends on your focus goal and the image itself. So I understand not everyone has Photoshop, but you'll notice a lot of apps and social media platforms have ways to actually trigger a grid. When you're cropping an image, even in iPhone photos or on Instagram with your fingers, the rule of thirds grid appears. So that can kind of help you to place your images if you're just putting a raw image in. Now, this is the part where I tell you to always try and use a grid, at least when you're starting out. This particular grid can help you to frame up your image in a really meaningful way. Remember, what do we want the customer to notice? Try and place those important details in one of these key areas. You can see that each of these crosses is either on a line or actually at a cross point. So we're really framing up those details that we want people to notice. Okay, so I want to touch really quickly on margins, why they're good and when to break them. So think about this. If you're going to try to place a ring dead center in your frame, you want even amounts of space on either side of the shank. Pretty simple. Now, you don't want too little space on the sides. We still want to draw the eye into the ring itself. But if you're going to frame a detail of a ring on a grid line, like, again, a mill grain edge detail or, a tiny diamond halo, it's okay for the shank to run out of the frame. And that's just in the case of a ring. In that particular instance, you're not focusing on the whole ring, you're really focusing on a detail. So that's okay. Same goes for other pieces of jewelry like necklaces or bracelets. Remember, we're going for visually pleasing, not perfect. Okay, so the next kind of concept that we're going to go through is color. So once you have a good image, you shouldn't need to do major color correcting. It's about bringing out the best features of your photo. Most photo editing programs and social media posting portals show you the basic editable aspects of your photo. They'll let you use sliders to bump brightness, contrast, saturation, even tint. Sorry about that. Even tint. Each photo is unique, so play around with the program's sliders to see what each one does to the image overall. In the end, your photo's lighting and color should really only need slight improvements, if any at all. So the next concept we have is filters. Okay, so it's kind of funny. First question, do you really need a filter? Different people have different opinions on this, but filters can do some funny things to images. So while some very subtle filters might prove useful, some remove the natural beauty of your photograph, and that's not what we want. So filters shouldn't make or break your photo. Good subtle filters are made to make quick, slight adjustments to those aspects we talked about, like brightness, tint, saturation. They're really only tweaking your image to make it look slightly a certain way. If your photograph can't stand alone without a heavy filter, take a new photograph. Again, check out Danny's Facebook Live on photography. It's really important that you start with an image that's really strong. Okay, so next principle is text. So text can be used effectively for snappy image captions or to deliver a short message. So here are a couple of guidelines. Never make your text size too small on a social media post. If you're creating a post and your text is smaller than the Instagram or Facebook caption text, there at the bottom, it's going to be too small to read. All these, bits of text and everything that they formulated are optimized for all of us to see easily. So let's say you built an image in Photoshop for the Instagram square at 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels at 72 pixels per inch, which is optimized for Instagram sizing, by the way. I know that was a lot of numbers. We can write it later. At that image size, your text shouldn't drop below 40 or it'll be too small to read. So just keep those things in mind. Don't make it too small or else it'll be difficult. Okay, another tip. There's a funny saying, never use white text on a white background. That sounds really silly, right? But it's exaggerated. We don't want to use the same color for the text as the color we're using for the background itself. You see on this Mother's Day post on the left here, we're totally losing Mother's Day because it's so close to the color of the background. So the last thing you want to do is put your heart and soul into making a beautiful post, and then your customers have a hard time reading what it actually says. So always stick to contrasting text, even if it's subtle. As far as fonts go, your brand should have a constant set of 2 to 3 fonts maximum that complement each other. You really only need a few that kind of create a family. So you can use one for titles and another for body text. Consistency is key. Your fonts are part of your recognizable brand, so it's important that you stick to them so people can see, oh, hey, I recognize that jeweler. I know what their posts look like. I know what their text looks like. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is logo. So do your photos even feature your logo? If they do, try and keep logo color and sizing consistent. Remember, we want some contrast here as well. So a good way to keep your brand looking consistent is to pick 2 colors for your logo. One will appear on lighter backgrounds like this pink, and another will appear on dark backgrounds. So try to stick to these colors as best you can because recognizable color consistency is part of your brand too. We want people to feel like we are sturdy, we're stable, and we know what we're doing. We're a brand that stands strong in the choices that we've made. That includes colors, that includes fonts. Okay, so again, same goes with sizing. Keep it consistent in posts. Side note, on this little made-up brand that I used for this last one here, my fiance and I had a favorite market street we'd go to when we were living in England, and Turl was the name of the street. Okay. So onto graphic elements. Now, this really depends on your brand. Some people use graphic elements and some don't, but no one's brand language should say pixelated and choppy, like this one on the left. If you're going to place a graphic, like a line work or a shape, it's best in vector form. Now, if you're using a software that doesn't allow you to overlay vector files, you can use a PNG of your graphic with a transparent background. Just make sure it's high quality and consider where you're placing it. Remember your rule of thirds grid. So again, stick to overlays that are crisp, that are going to work with the image you already have. We don't want to put something pixelated over something really beautiful. Okay. So one of the last things I'm going to touch on is just a quick look into some editing tools. So your business has the opportunity to engage with customers daily through social media. And there are some editing tools in the social media posting portals like those in Instagram and Facebook. You can tweak color here and put this over that and everything. But if you really want to step up your game, it's worth investing in photo editing software. So things like Adobe Photoshop, PhotoWorks, or Canva are some good examples. And starting with a simpler software like PhotoWorks and Canva can get you off the ground if you're a beginner. There's so much to be said about just jumping into a software and playing with it before you do anything heavy duty. Learning about how the colors work, what happens when you move this slider, what happens when you put this over this, what happens when you turn on this setting. Play around with it, experiment. That's so important. And then you can always, like I said, jump into Adobe products later for more powerful editing tools. there are tons of tutorials and things online that can help you to learn how to use Photoshop best for your business. And you'll learn tons of tricks, again, just by jumping in and trying. There's nothing wrong with trying. You're not going to ruin anything. So always good to dip a toe in. So one thing I want to leave you with, a good set of guidelines makes a brand look confident and polished. But if you ever want to step outside the box, don't be afraid. Learn the rules, sorry, so you can break them beautifully. Very, very, very important. There are grids and things that you can put on, and you can put your logo in the same place every time. But sometimes an image needs it needs a little more than that. It needs a little artistic push. So don't be afraid to do that. Okay. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll answer all of your questions in the comment section, and I hope you have a great day. Bye guys. Thank you.